Page 43, For He's a Jolly Good Fellow. At the top of the page, they're introducing you to a new symbol, a musical symbol. We haven't had anything new for a while. Okay, it's time. I'm hoping you know and understand all the musical symbols you see so far. If not, please go back and review everything. Go through the lessons again. You need to understand all these musical symbols. We're just going to keep adding them. So don't get behind on the symbols or the note names for anything. Don't get behind it all. For the fermata sign, it is a dot with a half circle. The half circle can be above the dot or below the dot. Doesn't matter, it's still a fermata sign. They're calling it a pause. I don't agree with that. There is a symbol for a pause in music. This isn't it. To me, a fermata sign is a hold. You hanging on to whatever you're doing or not doing temporarily. It's where we say a beat is a steady beat. And you think, well, here it may not be. It actually is, but it sounds like it might not be it's like it interrupts the beating a little bit. We'll get to that. You hang on to it. You see it here in For He's a Jolly Good Fellow at the last measure of the third line. You see it above each staff. And each staff needs its own, because each staff has to have its own set of symbols. Because I'm not going to hold one hand and let the other hand keep going. That doesn't work in piano. Both, they got to stay together. So they both need a fermata on each staff. It simply means you're going to hold on to those notes longer than 2 counts, the half notes. I'll talk about that more. I do the fermatas when I do the articulation. So I'll cover it when I do the articulation. So let's look over For He's a Doing Something here. It's 4 lines long, treble and bass clef, 3/4 time. There's no repeat sign. Quarter notes, half notes, dotted half notes, we're fine. It has a 1-beat pickup. The pickup beat, you see that? We're coming in on beat 3. That means there needs to be another measure somewhere with 2 beats in it, because we're going to have 3 total. If you look at the end, the very last measure has a half note. It's 2 counts. So that's the first 2 counts. Then the third count is at the beginning. I'm going to kind of take both hands together because most of the time it's just the left hand playing. The left hand gets the melody again. And the left hand starts here. Of course, we're in C position again. The right hand's going to start on that F chord here. So we'll just start there. We don't start in C, we'll just start there since that's where it's starting. Does that make sense? Okay. So it's 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So there it is. First beat, and then hold that down as you're doing, and then 1, 2. So that's pretty much the piece. With third line down, the last 2 measures, you're here. 1, bring the thumb up. See, all of these notes involved happen to be in an F chord. We're sort of in this position. All right, whatever. Just bring the thumb. You're not moving the hand up in the left hand. You just bring the thumb up. And it's all these. And then when you go on, we're a little out of position here because I want to connect the notes. The last note of the third line to the first note of the fourth line is here. So I've got to use second finger. Normally I'd want to use thumb in C position, but I can't connect them if I do that. So I use second finger. And then thumb. Well, looky here. This is one of the concepts of the style of fingering that I use and teach. Because there's different styles of fingering, different ways of doing it. Different teachers teach different methods and so forth. But this is the one that I used in college most of the time. As it works out for me. And that is one of the principles of it, is you take advantage of repeated notes to get ready for what's coming. So you can change hand positions in a repeated note. So basically, when here, on the end of the third line, you're up here. Normally, I'd want to just stay here, but I can't because I got to connect that. Well, in that case, I did move my hand. I moved the whole hand up. So it's here. Actually, I moved the thumb to here, thumb first, and then I moved the rest of the hand up. I did it one thing at a time. We're kind of crawling around. We do that a lot on piano. You don't always move the whole hand together. In fact, we don't do that all that much anyway. No. So it's here, and then I move the hand up here, but I'm out of position for the rest of the piece. So I take advantage of these repeated notes to go back where I need to go. I need a thumb on that. So the last one, they put a thumb on it. Doesn't have to be the last beat. It could be the second beat. I can do it immediately. I could do it any time in there, but I need a thumb on that, at least a thumb on the last note of that measure. This is the first measure of the last line. I need a thumb on that note. I could do a thumb on the second note. Doesn't matter. This puts me in position for the rest of it. So I changed hand positions. We just changed hand positions for the first time in the book. We start moving around like this, look out. And again, you want to get to where you can do this without looking at the keyboard eventually. So you got here to here. When you're comfortable with the notes and the rhythms, and you put in the articulation. That's the phrasing and now the fermatas. So we want to put in you can listen to the melody and listen to what the musical sentences are doing. See, that's like a sentence. And then that's another sentence. So you hear the sentences, lift up between the sentences like taking a breath. Like so, yeah. So put in the phrasing, and then for the fermata, that you hold that out to what feels right. There's no rule says it has to be a certain length. Just hold it out what feels right. You hang on to that to what feels right, and then a new phrase. You go on. With a fermata, you would do what feels right. But in most cases, you're going to find that what feels right is actually a certain number of beats. Because we feel these beats, even when it's held, we feel the beats. And the people listening will also keep feeling the beats. So you will hold it out a certain number of beats because that is what feels right. And you don't know how many beats you're holding it out because you're not counting it, you're just doing it by feel. And so you'll find that most of the time, just check that out when people are playing, you see fermatas, kind of keep the beat going and see how many beats they hold it out. And they'll hold it out a certain number. Yeah. Now when I do this with a metronome, like in the Play With Me, I take the note value, in this case 2 counts for a half note, and I just double it. So I'll hold it for 4 counts, and then I keep going, because I got to stay with the metronome. So I'll just do that. So anytime you're in a Play With Me, the fermatas, you double the value of the note, and that's how long you hold it. As far as the speed goes, well, it's a party piece. You wouldn't go slow. You know, he's a jolly good fellow. It's got to be some spirit to it, but you don't want to go too fast. And because it has a pickup beat, or not just because, but it is really important because it is. And make sure you feel the natural accent. Have I talked about natural accents much? Probably not. Well, we need to. Pickup, when there's a pickup measure, we need to know where the beginning of the measure is. I was listening to a professional play a Beethoven sonata on the radio yesterday, and I'm familiar with the sonata. I studied it in college, so I know what it is. But it got into there where he was not doing the natural accents, and it sounded, the measure sounded 1 beat off, where I knew where the measure started, but you couldn't tell that by this guy playing it. He didn't do the natural accents. The first beat of a measure gets just a little 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And because it's a natural accent, you feel it, you don't force it. You may feel it, you might force it at first. To help you feel it, but eventually you just want to feel it. Because when a person is listening to it, if you don't, they're going to think that first beat is the first beat of the measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's gonna be off. So make sure that it sounds like to hear, not let's start. It's to hear. It's important. So this another thing you got to think about, and this gets into interpreting music. I haven't talked much about it, but we're going to have to start. And on top of everything else you're doing, we got to start thinking about interpreting the music. You see the articulation and the fermata and all that. They're telling you to a point how to interpret the music. That's what these are for. And the dynamics, how to interpret the music. But really it's up to you. They don't tell you everything. You got to put in the feelings and all. Natural accents are felt. Now, I didn't do dynamics. Let's go back. And again, I disagree with their dynamics. Oh, I wish they wouldn't do this. You need one dynamic in the middle of the staff, and that's to the melody. You don't need that P there in the third full measure. Cross that out. They're telling you to play the chords soft. Well, you do that anyway, because the MF, the mezzo forte, or moderately loud goes to the melody. These are soft because we want to hear the melody. So, yeah, just it's all well. The party's been going on a while. This might be loud, but it's a happy piece. So as we go through the book, I'm going to start talking a little bit about interpreting the music. So you're not just playing note, 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 note. If it's just going to be note, 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 whatever, you let a computer do it. But we need to learn or get into how can we express it? How can we play it with feeling? How can we turn it into music? That's where the magic happens. A lot of people, when they go through these books, they just get the notes and the rhythms. Okay, I got the notes and the rhythms. Let's go on. And when they do that, they're missing out on most of what music is about. And that is the expression, the interpretation, the feeling. We need to start getting into that. Now that you get a fermata and you have some articulation and dynamics, we can start that. Let's play it together slowly to double check the notes and the rhythms. And when we do the play with me, I don't interpret it. I'm just playing it very mechanically, very slowly. We're not performing it. So you can make sure you got the right note at the right time. So I'm going to give us 2 counts because we come in on beat 3. I'm going to go ready, go. That's 2 counts. Now let's play it together slowly. And the fermata, again, I'm going to hold that 4 counts. Ready, go. 2. Hold 2.